right. Peace and blessings. Shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm going to give everybody a few moments to log in. It's been a long week, but I'm sure it's been prosperous for all of those, especially if you're on the live with us tonight. Lots been going on in the news. If you ain't been keeping up, had a really great discussion the other day with the brother Zion Lex. So if you haven't seen that most recent video, it was a really great bill. We talked about a lot of great things when it comes to Bible prophecy. And so tonight we're going to dive a little further into this ocean of information about things that are in the Torah, that's in the scripture, that pertains to what we're going through right now. We have our brother, the mighty Hebrew, who's going to come and, bring in the Shabbat with us, because it's been a while since we actually had a Shabbat. I'm going to call it a service. It's been a while since we actually came together and communed together. So the brother said, let's do it on tonight. What better time to do it? But before we get into the presentation, I have my brother, our teacher, our leader, when it comes to, if you're not familiar with Dimona Israel, where all of the Israelites back in the 60s, late 60s, they went out to Dimona Israel. And the brother Ben Ammi took those individuals out there, and they're still out there till today. But he had a really great message. And so I said, what better way to bring in the Shabbat, to start out this live with Ben Ammi. So we're going to play that, and then we're going to bring on the mighty Hebrew. So it's about 15, 20 minutes, but it's powerful. You're going to get a lot out of this video. I promise you. I wish I could play the whole thing. So maybe on another Shabbat, we'll come back and we'll play the entire video, because the message is just profound. I mean, when you hear it, you're going to want more. I guarantee you. And then when we come back, I got a really nice song by Mighty Hebrew. We're going to play that, and then we're going to get into the presentation. So y'all hold tight, and make sure you give it a thumbs up so we can get it to the algorithm, so that everybody else can know that we're live. For some reason, they want to suppress our videos. They want to kind of push us down and keep us, suppressed, and hey, listen, we're going to keep the information going.
Destiny is being determined by history. Now, Deuteronomy. No, hold your place there. Hold that place. We go to the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Psalms, the 83rd chapter. 83rd chapter, verses 1 through 5. Now, when they picked us up at that time by what was called the New World, was there international conspiracy? Did they all work together? There was an international conspiracy. The Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the Americans, all of them that were a part of that new world took part in it. Psalms 83rd chapter, verses 1 through 5.
Read on this one.
Please.
Keep not thou silence, O God.
Keep not thy silence, O God. Read.
Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
So now he said, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their heads. The anti-God civilization has lifted up his head. Continue on.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
Against whose people?
Against thy people.
They've taken crafty counsel. They came together in boardrooms. They took, he said, crafty counsel. Against whose people?
People of God.
Those nations, those anti-God forces took crafty counsel against the people of God. What did they say?
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
Mm-hmm.
They have said.
What did they say?
Come. And let us cut them off from being.
Cut the people of God off.
Let us cut them off from being a nation. that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name, that the history of Israel would no more be in remembrance. That's why they cut it off. Your history is gone from you. They took crafty counsel against you. Come now. He said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Cut them off from being a nation, a people, a nation. What nation are you connected up to? Not what continent, what nation? None. They cut you off from being a nation. Is that historical fact? They haven't cut the British off. They haven't cut the French off. They haven't cut the Iranians off. They haven't cut the Asmanians off. They haven't cut the Germans off. They haven't cut the Irish off. You have been cut off from being a nation. That the name, that the history, that your history would no more be in remembrance. Is that all 5 of those verses? Read, please.
For they have consulted together.
For they what?
Have consulted together.
They strategized. They strategized. They consulted together. I pose the question to our people, why is it that none of the nations of Europe have ever come to our rescue in the Americas? Why is it our struggle has been just? Why is it that nobody comes to help us? Read it again.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
With what?
With one consent.
One consent. One consent. Where you are concerned, they're always in agreement. Cut him off. Don't let him find his history, because your history is connected with their destiny. Your history is connected with their destiny. In order to prolong their civilization, they must keep you from finding the historical facts about yourself. Your history. Now we find this took place. Abraham's seed. 400 years. Now Deuteronomy. (28th chapter), verses 64 through 68. I have that too. Skip over a couple of these, but those are your references. Take them home with you and you read all of them. All of them. 64 through 68. Read, please.
Read on this one. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
And the Lord, who shall scatter thee?
The Lord.
And the Lord shall scatter thee, his people. You wonder why the Democrats can't free you? The Republicans can't free you? The liberals of the communists of Maoism can't free you? Because they do not hold the keys to the prison that you are locked in. God scattered you. The problem was not with the Democrats or the Republicans. The problem is, what did you do? What happened? Destiny. Because you're going to have to ask some questions now. God scattered you. Read on.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
Among all the people.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods.
And there thou shalt what?
Serve other gods.
And there thou shalt serve other gods. Other gods. But you won't know it. Because deception is to cause to believe what is false and invalid to be what? True and valid. You're going to serve other gods and not know it. Continue on.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Mm-hmm.
And among these nations
And among these nations,
shalt thou find no ease.
400 years, you still a jelly bean. 400 years, executives in Texaco, and you act like, when has it changed? What is giving you the impression that it's going to change? You right here, Cicero is still there. What have they done to give you the impression? Oh no, you still a jelly bean. Continue on.
Thou shalt find no ease.
No ease.
Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
You remember your mothers and your grandmothers? They came and they left. They were weary. This land has wearied us. We're tired of it. That's what Corey was saying. Enough is enough. We're tired of this. We're tired of being jelly beans. Enough is enough. 400 years we've been waiting. We've got to find the keys to open up this door. We've got to let the captives go free. Continue on.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart.
A trembling heart. Continue on.
And failing of eyes. And sorrow of mind.
And sorrow of mind. Mm-hmm.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee.
Los Angeles, Florida. This is right now. Your life hangs in doubt before you. Continue on.
And thou shalt fear day and night.
Day and night. Continue on.
And shall have no assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, with God it were evening.
In the morning you say, I wish it was evening. Read a little bit.
And at evening thou shalt say, with God I wish it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee.
And who again?
And the Lord shall bring thee.
And the Lord shall bring thee
into Egypt.
Egypt.
Again with ships.
Again. Egypt again. Moses went down to Egypt, but Egypt was what? This is talking about a captivity similar to the ancient Egyptian captivity. The people of God were going to find themselves in a similar captivity, just like ancient Egypt. And he will bring you into Egypt again. But our fathers walked down into ancient Egypt, didn't they? Didn't they walk down into ancient Egypt?
To Jerusalem.
Read on. And
the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Did somebody say that we came here on ships? Is this the land of the captivity? We arrived here on ships. Continue on.
By the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Wait a minute. It's getting too simple now. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies
for male and female slaves.
Wait a minute. No. And when you get off of the ships, they're going to sell you for male and female slaves. This is sounding familiar now. This is sounding familiar now. No, because now, do you know anyone else that any other nation that were brought into these areas on ships, and when they arrived here, they were sold as male and female slaves? I said, when you find your history, you're going to know it's your history. No doubt about it. Now, we're finding some things that are similar to our history in this Bible that the United Nations use. Well, I just don't think that they read these particular verses. But they used the same book. But now it seems to me like they left some here.
Very selective.
sold. Did this happen to, does this sound like you all's history? Now, I want to go a little bit further. We want to go now to Ezekiel, the 19th chapter, the 4th verse, and then the 8th and the 9th verse. Ezekiel, the 19th chapter, and the 4th verse, and then the verses 8 and 9. So now we found some people, the people of God, were to be brought back into a captivity on ships and sold as slaves. And sold as slaves. The people of God, the chosen people of God, this was to be their fate, history, and destiny. Something that took place in your history that has been determining your destiny.
Peace and blessings and shalom. Welcome to the Way of Yah. This is a Shabbat service. I am Mikael Ben Yahuda, and tonight we're going to hear from none other than the mighty Hebrew. But what you just heard was a message from the late Ben Ammi. Again, you know, when we're talking about Deuteronomy 28, I mean, what other people in history can we say that these particular scriptures apply to? You know, I do a lot of research. I do a lot of research when it comes to my own personal and family genealogy. And I can't get past a certain point when I'm looking up my own family. But when I'm looking at the ancestry of the slave owners, I can take this thing back to the 14 and 1300s. So when we're talking about a people who are going to be, you know, displaced from one locale to the next, and they're going to forget their history, forget their culture, forget their language. I heard earlier this morning a young individual was explaining some things in his own perspective that how can the people forget their language? But again, he's speaking in the language of his captives. He didn't mention that point. He didn't mention the fact that he actually speaks English. He speaks no other language. So where did he learn that language from? So again, where do we come from? Where have we been? Because where we have been, our history determines our destiny. And that's the message behind what the late Ben Ammi is giving us. Now, when the mighty Hebrew comes on, he's going to take us from the world of Israel to West Africa to the Americas. He's going to paint that picture from a very, very historical perspective so that you can really understand what Deuteronomy 28 is talking about, where we've been. And from this presentation, you're going to formulate the ideas and the understanding of where we are going. Because ultimately, we can't go nowhere unless we realize where we are in time. So again, you got to go back and look at that video that, you know, me and the brother Zion Lex went through the other day, because we talked about where we are and what's happening right now in the world today. So again, the mighty Hebrew, he's in the building. I want to give praises again to the creator, to the source of life, you know, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's make that be known. Again, this is a platform where, you know, we're open to all views. But when it comes to this Torah, we mean strictly business. All right. So let me remove this video real quick, y'all, and I'm gonna bring the mighty Hebrew on. All right,
Shalom.
mighty Hebrew, how you doing? Shalom, shalom.
Oh, I'm great. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm a little beat up, but you know, we're gonna keep pressing on.
Absolutely.
Yep. So
I was just listening to, that's one of my favorites, History and Destiny by the late Rabbi Ben Ammi Ben Israel Mashiach. It's two parts to that. He did that when he returned from he had left the States back in 1967, and he didn't come back to visit until like the end of 1994. And that's when he did History and Destiny, when he was on his world tour. And that's an excellent presentation. I ask everybody, whenever y'all get a chance to listen to it in full context. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So give us a little overview of what it is that you're going to talk about tonight.
Okay. First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness, and us into the family. Shabbat Shalom. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here. My name is Prince Shar Diin, the tribal minister, also known as the Mighty Hebrew. I'm here live and direct in Tanzania, East Africa. Tonight, what I'm going to bring forth to the family is just a couple of primary sources proving without a shadow of a doubt that there was certain migrational patterns that took shape from Israel to West Africa, which in turn landed us into the Americas, because there's a lot of so-called said social media scholars that say there's no primary sources or history conveying that we're Israel and that we didn't come off the slave ship saying that we're Israel. One of the arguments I hear, such as Brother Garfield, he makes the statement, show us any documented records where we came off the slave ship saying that we were Israel. I mean, like, that's really an absurd argument, because that's the same thing saying, well, show us any documented records of slaves coming off the slave ship saying that they are the Akan, they're the Ilbo, they're the Ruba, they are Fanti, they're the Ashanti, they're the Mingdenka. You don't see none of that. Remember, we couldn't speak in the various foreign languages. Remember, in the 45th verse, going down to verse 51 of Deuteronomy chapter 28, it speaks about a people whose language we wouldn't understand. So at the time, we talk about French, Portuguese, Spanish, English. We didn't know these languages. Okay, if we talk about the West African slave trade, and then if you start talking about the East African slave trade, when they were sending us to Uzbekistan, they were sending us to Tibet, China, India, all over there. So different languages over there we didn't understand as well. So we got to come from out of this mind state that, you know, you can't show that you Israel. Well, we can show that we Israel because we have an unbroken chain of events that show that we're Israel. And people didn't just wake up out of a vacuum and just say, yo, I'm Israel. There are many, many clues, many, many truths behind the fact of us being Israel. I'm going to start going back to 1798 and shoot to 2022. So without further ado, if you want to
let's do this real quick. Let's do this real. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but let's do this real quick. Let's play one of your songs from your latest album. Let's do that. Okay. And then when we come back, we could hop right into the presentation.
That's good.
All right. So what I'm gonna play, let's play Lost Tribes. Let's do that.
That's perfect. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Lost tribes of Israel feel pain. Come on, devil's lies on the rocks without shame. What? Who's to blame? But us, we trust one. And trust the devil and uplift your hard wall. Lost tribes of Israel feel pain. Devil's lies on the rocks without shame. Who's to blame? But us, we trust one. And trust the devil and uplift your hard wall. A mighty power frees minds. The Gentile scholars lies to shower to the wise that was blinded. A strange land prophesied. Lost tribes became philosophy. Apocalypse of Abraham, 32:16, 400 years coming in ships and chains being whipped. Ezekiel 1949, placed in the pit, dying in feces and piss. Sitting next to skeletons, 350 million Paris in the middle passage. Some sisters gave birth to your bastards, creating mulattoes and creoles from the poison of demonic semen. Being raped by perverted beasts in heat with a thought of jungle fever. A liar wall set them devils evil. I see the shadow called deceiver in the image of a non-people. Speaking the tongue off balance with the rhythm off beat. From the heart that the wolves eat. February the 14th, they feast in ceremonies and tights filling the rush of Israelite blood and Ghana who they first crushed. With the help of Hamites, praising Muhammad as their prophet, ruptured the dynasty of Zah, placing the mind in a genie bottle only for a time. 1969, first Israelites shine in Dimona, kingdom of Yah, resurrect the lost tribes of Israel feel pain. Come on, devil's lies on the rocks without shame. What? Who's to blame? But us, we trust one. Trust the devil and uplift your hard wall. Lost tribes of Israel feel pain. Devil's lies on the rocks without shame. Who's to blame? but us we trust one and crush the devil and uplift your hard wall. My mental plane, range celestial terrain, power range, glass stainless, ascended master in the rain. Return, rearrange your animated matrix, no escaping, ship shaping, incarnated awakening. Numerian Texas label secret to those stargazing for the feet of Jacob. Climb ladder shattering to the 12th planet, clouds magnetic. Yah's eye vision, lightning striking. Eden Viking with force of Dami. Lotus my llama, controlling karma. My thorns Mars, master with law as a rule savior. My behavior permeates dark matter in 4 chambers. Earthbound and physical. Myself, I'm a stranger, really an angel. Trap prolonged from anger. Stargating, use 6-point triangles to astral, but check my temple to elements of wise intelligence. To a land of never end, losing 5 senses to senselessness. Vision and vision's appearance of Sirius, aligning every pyramid. The minds of builders of sicker rocks and psychogoths. Allahayim development has been arrested since New Atlantis. Yah bless my vocab, it's beyond lettermen. The king is solo, controlling the global from electromagnetic oval of immortals with techniques. One with Levitical priests, sacrifice truth instead of beast meat. Secret science, initiate gods and right knowledge. The son of Enoch, hallelujah. Blessed be the rock, Yahweh Ahaya. What my Ayashah, we rise higher. Etana, Matazayam, Bain Yasha Allah. Torah we follow to Makuba, take Zion. To the land of promise of our forefathers. Abba, Yahai, shining like spectrums. Universal cosmic sound wave objects. Move from stillness. Endless beam, break the dream. Chanting Hashema Cree on Asoline. Born in Kabbalah trees. The garden of Eden, we Elohim, watch Adam and Eve manifest new better she. Lost tribes of Israel feel pain. Come on, devil's lies on the rocks without shame. What? Who's to blame? But us we trust one and trust the devil and uplift your hard wall. Lost tribes of Israel feel pain. Fuck em. Devil's lies on the rocks without shame. Who's to blame? But us we trust one and trust the devil and uplift your hard wall.
Hallelujah. Again, welcome to the Way of Yah, TrueFlix Network. We got the dear brother Prince Shar Diin, the mighty Hebrew there in Tanzania, who's going to drop some knowledge on us tonight. I'm not going to hold it, and I'm going to go ahead and let you do your thing. I'm going to pull up the presentation, and you just let me know when to go to the next one, and I got you, my brother. Let's see.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Can the family hear me? Can you hear me, Adoni?
Yeah, you sound good.
Good, good, hallelujah. First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Do a struggle for righteousness' sake. I say into the family, Shalom Alachem. Let's pull up that PowerPoint and let's start this presentation. Let's get straight to it. Because, you know, one of the powers that they're using is coming from out of the book of Daniel, and it speaks in the book of Daniel chapter 10 how the Euro Gentiles will have a time and a half a time to rule by the way of the power to define. The late Ben Ammi wrote a book called God, the Black Man in Truth, and inside that book there is a chapter in there called The Power to Define, and within that chapter it talks about the spiritual Magna Charta. And with the spiritual Magna Charta, the Euro Gentile had a certain time frame to rule this planet. In the book 48 Laws of Power, it says law number 11, to conceal your intentions and to keep the people in the dark. So within their own social structure, it is systematically designed to keep a people in darkness. The first portion of the PowerPoint, as y'all all know, I always give accolade to the elders, to those that came before us. It's very imperative and important that we do that, as in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7 and 8 says. It tells us to seek our Zakwanim, the elders or the ancient ones before us, to stand upright when the hoary head or the gray hair, meaning men and women that is 50 and over in our community, they rose to a certain status of eldership. I'm going to read and give a little synopsis going from right to left. The first one you see here in the picture is the late Prince Chancellor Affairs, or Charge d'Affaires, the late Prince Dr. Shaliach Ben Yehuda, who is the original founder and dean of the School of the Prophets Institute in Dimona Israel, Northeastern Africa, one of the greatest scholars within the 20th and 21st century. To this day, things that Prince Dr. Shaliach had put down on record, you got scholars still catching up to him today. Then in the center, we have the visionary. We have the late Adonenu Rabbeinu Ben Ammi Ben Israel HaMoshiach, also known as Ben Ammi. One of the things that he brought forth was the 45-second vision that he had pertaining to the return of Israel from the slums of North America to West Africa, then to Israel. We went to West Africa approximately 1967. We left. We stayed 20 miles outside of Monrovia, Liberia, for a 2.5-year period to break the niggitudes from us. 1969, we returned to the Promised Land. We're in Dimona, Telerad, Mitzpe Ramon, and in other parts throughout Israel as well. Thousands. It started with 400, and then out of that 400, half returned back to the United States, and the rest went into the land. And now it's thousands of us. We give birth to our own children. We have our own clinics. We have our own sewing centers. We have our own factories. We make our own clothes. We patronize each other. We secure our own communities, and we live communalistically. We have communities / jurisdictions or extensions all throughout Africa. It is very important, if you acknowledge yourself as a Hebrew Israelite sovereign national, to return back to the land of your origin so you can get a feel of where you come from. Because it's good to say, yeah, I'm an Israelite, but you want to step foot on the land of Israel. And at the end, the left, you have the Prince, our international ambassador and Prime Minister, Prince Asiel Ben Shaliach Ben Israel. He was the one that brought most of the brothers and sisters that live in Dimona, Israel right now. He's the one that brought them into the land. As a matter of fact, Prince Asiel repatriated more Black people back to Africa than any man in our African American history, even more than Marcus Garvey. And this is not a shout out Marcus Garvey. It's just a historical fact. Where Marcus Garvey left off, our elders here, they took up the torch and they moved forward. We have to commend the late Prince Asiel Ben Israel, because he's the one that spearheaded on the international level. He's the one in 1978 that brought the most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as well as the most honorable that passed away, Honorable Dr. Khaled Muhammad, to Dimona Israel. I'm gonna give you just a little tiny snippet of history that people may not know. As you know, you have what is known as the first resurrection of the Nation of Islam and the second resurrection of the Nation of Islam. The first resurrection of the Nation of Islam was spearheaded by the late Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad died in 1975. His son Wallace Diin Muhammad, also known as Wolf Diin Muhammad, wind up aligning with the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia and found what was called Black Muslim America. And they wound up becoming Sunni Muslims. All the stuff that the Nation of Islam built, Wallace Diin Muhammad sold, and they became what you know as Orthodox Sunni Muslim. And what Farrakhan wanted to do was reestablish the Nation of Islam. So what he did was, him with the late Dr. Khaled Muhammad went and sought help from the late Prince Asiel Ben Israel and the brothers and sisters, Hebrew Israelites, sovereign nationals throughout Chicago, and got blessings over in Dimona Israel. And Ben Ammi became the spiritual advisor of the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is just historical facts. The second resurrection of the Nation of Islam was in its beginning, the military, before they reestablished the fruit of Islam. It was actually Hebrew Israelites that would bodyguard the most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that's why there's a major close knit with the Nation of Islam and the Israelites over in Dimona, Israel. If you look at the Million Man March, the Million Family Marches, whatever the case may be, right before Farrakhan would speak, you would either have Prince Asiel speak or Ben Ammi speak. So there was a definite interconnection with them brothers and sisters. As a matter of fact, the godfather of our crown prince Yosef is the most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So there's a close-knit relationship. So I just wanted to put that information out there. But whenever you're ready, you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
So we have here the 12 princes, the 12 original princes that founded our community, or they were the governmental structure of our community in Dimona, Israel. Out of all 12 original princes, there's only one still alive. That is Nasik, or Prince Gabriel, or Prince Gabriel Hagador, the one that wrote the book, The Impregnable People. Shout out to Prince Gabriel. I just had him probably like a couple months ago. I took him over to Killer Priest podcast, and he was on there expressing his book, Impregnable People. I will get Prince Gabriel on here. I can definitely do that. He really received me. So he's like the last elder of these 12. So he's actually, I'm an understudy of him right now, you know, getting as much information as I can get from the great prince, you know what I mean? Because he's the only one still here with us out of all 12 of the original princes. Hallelujah. Next slide. And you see right here, the image of Ben Ammi in the true continent of Africa. He was born October the 12th, 1939. And what you see as an 8 on his back, defining infinity. We're all Ben Ammi. We are all son of our peoples. That's why my name is Prince Diin Ben Ammi Maltazarian Ben Yasha Allah Senior, or Ben Israel. You know what I'm saying? So we are all sons of our people when we come and work. Because remember, Ben in Hebrew really means the continuation of the family. So we would continue the work that was left behind from those that came before us. We must respect and honor our Zakwanim, our elders. You know, they got their elders. We have our elders too. And we supposed to rise up our elders in all subject matters. I don't want to hear what the so-called white man said. I don't want to hear none of that. The only thing I want to hear is what our elders left behind. And our elders said, we Israel, straight like that. We ain't got to argue or debate with anybody about the subject matter. We are who we are, period. Hallelujah. Next slide. Prince Asiel said, power proceeds. And this is a powerful statement of Prince Asiel. Says, let me get my note. Power proceeds by standing on truth. And that's just the bottom line. Truth has no master. The truth don't need to be verified. The truth is absolute. And this is what Ben Ammi said. He said, truth has the inherent power to produce the promised effect. So when we look at the situation of what's going on right now, and the condition, what's going on all over the world, and how people are looking at Israel. You want to know why? Because we make truth manifest. Regardless of what one say about Israel and the different doctrinal differences, look at what IUIC did. I'm just talking about one community out of many Hebrew communities. Give a shout out to Bishop Nathaniel for standing up and having the guts to look the years straight in his face and say, yo, we the people of the book. And a lot of people don't know that that was the Most High hand, because there were 10 buses of your Gentile Jews coming to march around, you know, to basically protest against Kyrie Irving. But before they made it there, we were already there. Talking about it was only 100 of us. 100 plus of us. No. It was close to 2,000 or more men and women out there. Well, excuse me, all men that were out there, no women. You see what I'm saying? When they buses pulled up and they seen who was standing there, they turned back around. The power of Yah is expressed through our unification. We must unify by the way, Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. That's the key. I don't care about nobody doctrinal differences. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? Because that will socially correct itself as we're proceeding on to move as a body politic. The Torah must be looked at as a constitutional breastplate. And as we grow in Torah, our understanding of the Constitution will broaden based on the social construct and the social condition of the people within that dispensation or epoch of time. Next slide. I said, the realization of truth is the ultimate weapon to manifest one's destiny. That's a true consummating equation. Again, the realization of truth is the ultimate weapon. See, we don't have to debate if we Israel or not. Our actions speak for itself. Because out of every black movement, there has never been nothing like the phenomenon of Israel in the Western Hemisphere. Nothing. Hands down. We've always been there. Let me give y'all a little history. Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford was second in command of the UNIA. He was also the musical director of UNIA. He's the one that founded the Beth B'nai Abraham Hebrew congregation in Harlem, New York. He off-branched from a group known as the Moors Zionist Temple of the Moors Jews that came in 1899 by the late Rabbi Leon Richelieu. It was a sad moment in our time. A lot of people don't know, but the late Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford had to take Marcus Messiah Garvey to court because there were payments he wasn't receiving. Most of the schematics in the UNIA that was created were created by the late Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford, along with the African national anthem and different things like that. And I mean, you can go type it up. You know, you could type up Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford versus Marcus Garvey, and Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford beat Marcus Garvey in court. And it's not a thing to brag about. You know what I mean? That was a sad moment in our history that we had to go to the powers that be when it comes to the affairs of our people. But the reality is a lot of people do not know the impact that Israel had in the UNIA movement. A lot of people don't know. Most members in the UNIA movement were out of the Black Judite movement. As a matter of fact, the slogan or the term Black Power came from Israelites. A lot of people don't know that. That term, when we were saying Black Power, that came from out of the Israelite movement. These are just historical facts. These are historical facts that you can look up. You can go get a book called Black Judaism by Landis, and he breaks it down in there. You can go get Black Gods of the Metropolis. So there's a bunch of books that you can go and get and see the impact that Israel had in the late 19th century and the 20th century. Facts. Continue on. My wife wrote this right here. You see the end of our 400-year captivity, the door of return. She put the fire behind it. The fire is symbolic to that enlightenment that you see with the menorah, that truth, that fire that burns within us each and every day to be free. We're going to be free. As a matter of fact, we are free right now. We just have to take that freedom. You know what I'm saying? And stop hoping and wishing for something to free us when the only one that can free us is those that look themselves in the mirror each and every day. Next slide. So now let the games begin, shall we? Let's let the games begin, okay? So a lot of people say, yeah, you know, we respect PhD scholars. And you hear this all the time. And I say, okay, you respect PhD scholars. We have here Christopher Arendt. He's a PhD, okay? And you can go into his works in 2012, World History Connected, interviewed by WHC co-editor Tom Lakis, right? And what this PhD scholar says about the Shemitic tribes, this is what he says. The early Semites correctly, Shemites. The early Shemites were just a few Africans arriving in the Levant to find a lot of other people already in the area. Stop. So here it is. We have this, you're a Gentile, PhD scholar out of his mouth saying that the Shemites or Semites were Africans. I mean, y'all say y'all respect PhD scholars. So I bring PhD scholars, right? So what do we say about this? Do we ignore this, or is he correct, or is he a crackpot because he's saying that the Semites or the Shemites are Africans? Go to the next slide. So we have this book here, Hebrewisms of West Africa by Joseph J. Williams. Let's talk about this for a minute, because I think when people read the book, Hebrewisms of West Africa, they don't really understand what they read, okay? Hebrewisms of West Africa was edited by a man by the name of Joseph J. Williams, okay? And with Joseph J. Williams, he believed himself that there was a Hebrew connection with the Negroes in the Americas. So what he did was he compiled all this information from different scholars all over the world to, and they gave how they felt Israel was, who Israel was, excuse me. Some acknowledged that it was us, some said it wasn't, some said it was white, some said it was black. What he did was he put a book based upon comparative study and research, and at the end he gives his conclusion. He gives his conclusion, which I'm about to give you the source of his conclusion. Okay, so when people talk about Hebrewisms of West Africa, they talk as if Joseph J. Williams wrote the whole book, and Joseph J. Williams was saying that so-called Negroes are not Israel. That is not what he said. What he did was just collected all the data at that time and then came with his conclusion at the end. Go to the next slide so we can see his conclusion. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to read his conclusion because I have it here. I didn't give it to you, but this is in the beginning. Listen to what he says. Long before the destruction of Jerusalem by Titus, the Mediterranean shore of Africa had become lined with influential Jewish, really Israelite colonies, which undoubtedly were in constant mercantile relations with the interior of the dark continent. That stopped. Now, when me and Dr. Baines' date was on Esoteric Thoughts, and we had a dialogue with Garfield, give a shout out to Garfield. One of the arguments with Garfield is he put up a map and he tried to explain his position, how it would have been impossible for Israelites to migrate from northeastern Africa to West Africa within the Sahara Desert, and they would die. The problem with that is anybody that know a little bit of history about the frankincense trade routes, there were posts or trading route posts going back to BCE times. Right. And people were traveling throughout the Sahara Desert, navigating back and forth for centuries before 70 CE. Another thing, right now, we can see Bedouin tribes and different African Edenic tribes in the Sahara Desert, living in the Sahara Desert. Do we not? Do we not? We have oral traditions on the ground right now that we can go amongst the people of the Sahara, and they could tell you out of their own mouth that they came from northern or northeastern Africa and pushed into West Africa. My thing to Brother Garfield is how one breath you saying that we couldn't have survived, but then in another breath you turn around and say that there was quote unquote Jewish people, that's how he words it, Jews or Jewish people that pushed into the interior Africa, mixed with the African women there, and was a part of the transatlantic slave trade. That was his argument. And my whole thing is, you're arguing under that premise, right? You're arguing under that premise in that breath, but in another breath, when we say that we came by the way of these trading routes, that's impossible. Let me continue on with my theses. I want to get to this portion of Hebrewisms or what I got. Okay, so the Dark Continent, but Egypt especially have been a haven of the refugees from Jerusalem at the time of the Babylonian captivity. And for many subsequent centuries, the Israelite element in the land of the pharaohs continued to increase and prosper. And we know that to be true because you even have the temple of the Allah of Elafatim. There is proof of Israelite presence in Egypt. You can go into Hebrewisms of West Africa from Nile to Niger with the Jews on page 23 on that. And also at Joseph J. Williams in conclusion on page 355 in the same book, he says, somewhere in the dim past, a wave, or more probably a series of waves of Hebraic influence swept over Negro Africa, leaving unmistakably traces among the various tribes where they had endured even to the present day. So that was the conclusion that the late Joseph J. Williams left behind. So he's saying that there is no doubt that there is a Hebrew presence throughout the heart of Africa. Go to the next slide. And if you want to, interject, you can, my brother.
Okay.
We in the book, God, the Black Man in Truth by Ben Ammi. Remember, he said, go to your elders that they may tell you.
Facts. Facts.
So let's see what our elders tell us. Go to the next slide so the people can see. Many of the descendants of Abraham followed Moses from Egypt, but some remained in Egypt while others migrated south and westward. So they said some went further south, some went westward. Those migrating Hebrews explain why traces of Hebrew culture can be found throughout West, Central, and East Africa. Many scholars believe that the ancestors of the Fulani, Ashanti, Iwi, Yoruba, Bantu, and other peoples were in fact early Hebrew Israelites. Ben Ammi, God, the Black Man in Truth, page 14. So we have the late Adonenu Rabbeinu telling us that many descendants of Abraham followed Moses, but others remained, and even others migrated south and westward. And we can see these tribes today. We're going to get into this. We're going to see that on ground, the Igbo is saying that they're descendants of the man Eri, who is from the tribe of Gad. These are their traditions. They have archaeology dating back 500 BCE of a bronze shield of David. This is their information. We can't just deny these people. The nerve of us to tell our brothers and sisters who they not. The arrogance of our people to say, oh, you not them people.
Right.
That's not cool. I mean, when we really look at that, that's not cool. Like that is very, very like egotistical to tell our people, you not them people.
Right.
You not them people.
And I'm just going to interject real quick. Like I said, I do a lot of, family, history. And one of the things when, I'm approached by someone who wants to tell me that I don't know who I am when I mention Israel, right? But they can't tell me who their great grandmother is. Right. They can't tell me who their most immediate family and where they come from. So how can you tell me when I'm telling you, how can you tell me where I'm from? Because I do the research. See, a lot of people don't take the time to read. And this is something that, is a problem within our community. We're going to take what somebody else say and run with it rather than, okay, I'm going to hear what you say, but I'm going to go and fact check it.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And even when you do have the source, you got to go fact check the source too.
Facts.
But go ahead, though.
Facts. Go to the next slide, because we're in a book called The Arab Conquest of Egypt in the last 30 years of the Roman dominion by Alfred J. Butler. The introduction was written by the late Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Let's see what Dr. John Henrik Clarke say about Northern Africa and what happened. He says, Roman exploitation, taxation, and ruthlessness caused a lot of the original Africans in North Africa to move further into the body of Africa. Stop. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm using not only our scholars, but their own scholars against them.
Mm-hmm.
The granddaddy of Afrocentric thought is telling you, and we ain't even get into the recent statements by Professor James Smalls that I posted, I abstracted from off of Zion Lex's page, where he says out of his own mouth that there was a quarrel between the African Egyptians and the African Hebrews, and the African Hebrews left Egypt because of oppression and went into an area in northeastern Africa called Palestine, and later the Syrians, Babylonians, Medo-Persians, and Romans and Greeks, and all them invaded, and we migrated into West Africa to become the Igbo and other various tribes in West Africa, and got caught in the transatlantic slave trade. That's what Dr. or Professor James Smalls just said 2 weeks ago. Recently. We got it. He just said it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll get that link if we have time. We can show that real quick so the people can see out of their own eyes and hear with their own ears that this is what this man said. Don't debate us, debate your elders.
Right. Yeah, there's a map. There's a map that says Negro land.
Yes. Right.
There's a map that says, and this is the interior portion of Africa that you're speaking about. Right.
Absolutely.
And if people go and do the research on King Gezo, then you'll see where the Europeans, they couldn't even go 50 miles into the interior because it's just that rough. Right. That's where they were getting all of their slaves from. From the interiors. You see what I'm saying? So you know, just want to throw that out there while you were speaking. Just made me think about it. But go ahead.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna jump back up. It says Roman exploitation, taxation, and ruthlessness caused a lot of the original Africans in North Africa to move further into the body of Africa. The question is often asked, what happened in North Africa's Black population? This is part of the answer. John Henrik Clarke in Introduction to Alfred J. Butler, The Arab Conquest of Egypt in the Last 30 Years of the Roman Dominion. So like, come on, man. So he's saying this is part of the answer. Now one can say, well, he just said North Africans. He didn't say who them North Africans were. Now, you know how our people is, brother, that they would say that like, yeah, he said North Africans, but he never said who they were. Go to the next source. Let's find out who they were by his own mouth. Let's go to Africans at the Crossroads. Note for an African World Revolution by Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Am I not giving the sources, brother?
Man, you're dropping it. You're dropping
it.
On the people.
I'm giving you the sources where you can go to see this information. Go to the next slide. Let's see who he's talking about.
Make sure y'all screenshot these books.
You see? Watch. There is a need now to study the migration of the Jews, correctly, Israelites. The migration of the Israelites after 70 AD, when the Romans destroyed their temples and started the dispersal of the Israelites of that day. Stop. Then we just read Alfred J. Butler's book, Roman Exploitation and Taxation, caused a lot of the North Africans to migrate deeper into the body of Africa, right? By Dr. John Henrik Clarke, because he wrote the introduction of that book. So then when we go into his book, Notes for African World Revolution, Africans at the Crossroads on page 276. He says there is a need now to study the migration of the Israelites after 70 AD, when the Romans destroyed their temples and started the dispersal of the Israelites of that day. Where indeed did they go? There is some evidence that some of them migrated south into the body of Africa. Come on, man. Come on, man. We got Dr. John Henrik Clarke saying this out of his own mouth.
Yeah. If this was a courtroom, you're presenting the evidence.
Right. We are to seek the elders. Right?
Facts.
Okay, go to the next slide. Let's go to pre-colonial Black Africa by Sheikh Anta Diop. See what I'm doing to them? I'm causing them to have a questionnaire or a confrontation with their own elders. Why are you coming at our elders? Why are you coming at us? Go to your own elders. You don't want to critique the elders on a level like they all said it. Ashaka Musa Bear Shingle. You go to Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yokin. They all said it, man. What happened to the Israelites? Go to the next slide. Let's read pre-colonial Black Africa. Let's see what he says. According to Tariq El-Fatah. Now, Tariq El-Fatah wrote the history of the Sudan in 1652. He was an eyewitness in Timbuktu. You talk about primary, this is an eyewitness. He said that the Israelite minority also lived in the bent of the Niger region of Timdarma and had made a speciality of cultivating vegetables watered with fresh well water instead of river water. Sheikh Anta Diop, Pre-Colonial Black Africa, page 233. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm quoting the scholars that they quote, that they love. Let's go to the next slide. A book they dare not open up. The Lost Tribes of Myth by Professor Alan H. Godbey. Let's get it. That's what I'm doing. I'm showing primary sources. You say, oh, you just making it up. And y'all have no information or none of that. Well, let's go to page 245, which I got this excerpt from the African Edenic Heritage by yours truly. Sar Ahmadiel Ben Yahuda gave me this source. He says, through Lost Tribes of Myth, Yoruba Jews claim that their ancestors were driven from oasis to oasis and called themselves by the Hebrew name Beni or Bene Ephraim.
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
You go to southern Nigeria right now.
Whoa.
To these people, they're known as the strange people in the Yoruba vernacular. They're known as Yom Kurum, the strange people, right? Okay. But they themselves call themselves the sons and daughters of Ephraim. What you talking?
That's hard.
Watch this. Let's talk about Ephraim real quick.
Okay.
Watch this, y'all. The word Africa goes back to a Hebrew Aramaic word, afar. When you go into Bereshit or Genesis chapter 2:7, you see that. When you look at the word dust, the Hebrew word is afar, right? Interesting. That's interesting. Okay, Mikael?
Okay.
But you know what's real interesting is when you go into the 26th chapter of Bereshit or Genesis, you see the word Afar, which is Midian's son. The Afarites are the ones that conquered your Punites or your Libyans, right? But what's real funny is that the word Afar is the root word for Ephraim.
Come on now. Hold up. Say that one more time. Say that again.
The word,
Okay.
the word afar.
Afar.
You can spell it EPHAR, right?
Mhm.
Or AFER, whatever. However you want to write it.
Mhm.
The root word for Ephraim is the same word for Aphor.
Okay.
It's the same word. If you look up Zion Lex is a Hebrew linguist.
Facts.
Ask Zion when you get time for him to go into the Hebrew of that, and he'll show you that that word,
Mhm.
Aphor, is the root word for Ephraim.
Right.
But
Because
it's deep. Go ahead.
Because what I was gonna say is you're right. We need to bring Zion on for this, but basically you can because see a person could take what something may sound and write it in our own language.
Right.
So where you may use AFR, somebody else may use APH. We have different ways and variations to write that word. You see what I'm saying? But
Right.
just because we write it differently doesn't change the meaning of it because that's not what its original writing was. So we definitely got to bring the you know the God on here for that, man. Seriously,
Right.
we got to do that.
And
Yeah,
peep the twist.
yeah.
In southern Nigeria, these strange people are known as the children of Ephraim, right? But you know what's funny? The northern kingdom of Israel was known as Ephraim. And and when you go into the Talmud, don't it say the 10 tribes of Israel went into Africa?
Mm-hmm.
What if I tell you at one time Africa was known as Ephraim? But I ain't going, I'm gonna let that one go for now, and I'm gonna come back another time on that one. Thus giving more emphasis of Israel being in Africa. Because remember what I said, the root word for Ephraim is Aphor. It's the same thing. Oh, another thing, I have to make a correction because I keep hearing people say, you see, the true Israelites are the children of Ham and the Canaanites. Look at Abraham's name. He even has Ham in his name. This is the most dumbest argument ever. You can ask Zion Lex. He will tell you that when you go to Ham's name, it uses a chet, which it should be calm, which translates Ham. So it uses the KHET or some write it as CHET. When you go into Abraham's name, there's no chet there. There's a hay there. So when they see Ham, they think it's the same as Ham, but it's not. So they create this big ass false theory that Abraham's name was Abram, and then Ham, the Hamites all part. No, that's not what they're saying. That Ham and Abraham's name has nothing to do with Ham, which they translate into English as Ham. It's two different Hebrew letters. What makes Ham's name is a chet, not a hay. The hay is in Abraham's name. So that has nothing to do with Abraham. So I just wanted to make that clear. Go to the next slide. Okay.
I think we did.
Yeah, we did that. I just sent it back to you. Now go to the next slide. When any of y'all get a chance, I want y'all to look up a man by the name of Drake Lake. He wrote a book called Origin of the Yoruba and the Lost Tribes of Israel, January 2001. Okay, and you can read the full context of that. It's going to go to the next slide. You'll see it. Oh no, I didn't put it there, but I get that to you. You see where it says Yoruba, sons of Ephraim. We have the actual map there, and it says, as stated in my books regarding the Igbos, the father of the Yoruba people, Oduduwa, traveled with Gad's sons, Eri, Areli, and Arodi from North Africa, likely Egypt, and settled in what today is known as Nigeria. This would coincide with Yoruba oral tradition that they believe to come from outside of West Africa, and thus it would be no surprise that we might find Israelites, Hebrews, and Jews amongst the Yoruba.
Fact.
They own oral tradition say these things.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't nothing that I'm saying.
Right. Even within the study, again, you know, because that's where I'm at right now, is the study of King Gezo, you know, within the Dahomey, right? And they eradicated the Yorubas. They were the ones that they were enslaving. You see?
Absolutely.
So you know, what is it? The Oyos, Oyos, you know, all of those nations is right here what you're speaking about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you go to the next portion, I have a quotation here from Drake Lake. When you go to the next slide, Drake Lake says, so y'all can hear. He says, on the basis of comparative studies between the dynastic tradition of the Onyo Yoruba, which you was just talking about, and ancient Near Eastern history, the present article argues that Yoruba traditions of province claiming immigration from the Near East are basically correct. According to Kuyo Yoruba tradition, the ancestral Yoruba saw the Assyrian conquest of the Israelite kingdom from the 9th and the 8th century BC from the perspective of the Israelites. After the fall of Sumeria in 722 BCE, they were deported to eastern Syria and adopted the ruling Assyrian kings as their own. The collapse of the Assyrian Empire is, however, mainly seen through the eyes of the Babylonian conquerors of Nineveh in 612 BCE. This second shift of perspective reflects the disillusionment of the Israelite and Babylonian deportees from Syria, Palestine, towards the Assyrian oppressors. After the defeat of the Egypt Assyrian forces at Carchemish in Syria in 605 BCE, numerous deportees followed the fleeing Assyrian troops to the Nile Valley before continuing their migration to sub-Saharan Africa. Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! And he's a German scholar. He wrote a book called Israelite, Israelite Canaanite, West African something. And like some of it is in French and some of it is in English. And it's a very expensive book, but it's a good book to get. Also, go to the next slide, because this is something that I think is very interesting. The book Nelson Mandela, The Man in the Movement by Mary Benson. And it says, at home, he, Nelson Mandela, as a child, heard of more recent events not taught in history lessons, of how in 1921, General Smuts, the prime minister, had sent an army which massacred 163 men, women, and children at nearby Borahart in the Eastern Cape, members of an Israelite sect. They had refused to move from the common ground which they were camping. And that is in Mary Benson's book, Nelson Mandela, The Man in the Movement, page 17. Next slide. We're in Robert Eggers' book, Because They Chose the Plan of God, the story of the Bar massacre of the 24th of May, 1921. Next slide, which reads, on May 24th, 1921, a force of 800 white policemen and army troops gathered at a place called Bar 5 kilometers southwest of Queenstown in the Eastern Cape. The government had instructed them to confront an African prophet, Enoch Minjin Jamal, and his religious group called the Israelites. When the battle was over, nearly 200 Israelites lay dead and many others wounded. We know this battle as the Bar Massacre, Robert Edgar, because they chose the plan of God. Page 1. Man, we've been rocking that we were Israelites even in Africa. That was in 1921.
Right. Right.
In South Africa. So all this is fake too. None of this is real. This ain't a part of our experience. Next slide. I want to show y'all a picture. This is Gunjoma's old barn house. It still stands there to this day. See how I'm putting history with this man? They were a tourist-centered community. They originated from out of a man by the name of Charles M. Mason, who was anointed in 1904 and 1905 by the late Prophet William S. Crawley. Charles Mason was from South Africa. He was a Zulu. And Charles Mason was informing the late Prophet William S. Crawley how the Zulus was acknowledging themselves as Israelites, okay? And like there are segments amongst the Zulus. So William S. Crawley anointed him and appointed him to establish these tabernacles throughout South Africa. A lot of people fail to understand when you see a lot of the African Zionist churches all throughout Africa, people fail to understand that they're actually off branches of the William S. Crawley movement from the Americas and start penetrating into Africa amongst people and tribes that already knew they were Israelites. Go to the next slide so y'all can see the man. There he is right there. That's Prophet Enoch right there. He was born in 1868 and died in 1928. There he is right there. And you can go to M.D. Gunwa or Mgua to read the whole story. That's a banging book. I advise everybody to go get that book so y'all can even see the Israelite presence and persecution that was going on in Africa while we was building in America.
Right, right.
You see what I'm saying? There has always been an interconnection with us to reestablish our heritage throughout the world.
Yeah, because a lot of people within the other communities would say that it's only happening here in the Americas. But what you're doing, you're bridging the gap. You're showing what's going on at the same time there in Africa. So we're on the same page with this. So this is Yah's great awakening that's been happening, and what's happening today is just what's being already carrying on. Now it's just magnifying.
Correct. You're absolutely correct. Now, we are African origins of the major Western religions by, no, it's fine, by the late Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yochanan. And by the way, he was a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Gad, from the Gondar region of Ethiopia. And he wrote a book also called We the Black Jews, Bear Witness to the White Jewish Race Myth. Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yochanan never stopped being a Hebrew. Nationality-wise, he just had a disdain for Eurocentric Judaism, okay? Some people say he died as a Muslim. Before he died, he converted to Islam because he died in the Jewish. I knew Dr. Ben personally. I was introduced by Dr. Ben years ago through Sa Netta, many years ago. And I had kept communication with him for a period of time while he was still alive. He was in a Jewish retirement home, and he told me several times that we were the true Hebrews. This was directly out of his mouth. So I want to read on page 75, page 76, where he says to confirm Dr. John Henry Clark. He says, in North Africa, just before the period of Christianity's legal entry into Rome, due to Constantine the Great's conversion in the 4th century, there were many Hebrew tribes that were of indigenous African so-called Negro origin. Y'all got to hear this. So he's letting you know that the Hebrews were already black Negroes from North Africa that came into West Africa, versus what Garfield and others are saying. They're saying that, oh, these people were white, and then they mixed with African. Let's read it again. In North Africa, just before the period of Christianity's legal entry into Rome, due to Constantine the Great's conversion in the 4th century, there were many Hebrew tribes that were of indigenous African so-called Negro origin. These African Jews, as all other Romanized Africans of this era, were caught in a rebellion in Syrincia during 115 CE against Roman imperialism and colonialism. This rebellion also marked the beginning of a mass Israelite migration southward into Sudan and West Africa, along the way of the city of Air and into the countries of Futa Jalon and Senegambia, which lie below the parabolic curve of the Niger River's most northern reaches, where the city of Timbuktu, Mali, presently stands. These Israelites were divided into 2 main groups and took separate directions further southward into West and Central West Africa. One group joined the Fulanis of Futa Jalon, from whom the present population of indigenous Africans of Bornu and Kamen in Nigeria inherit their Hebrew traditions. This indigenous African Israelite penetration from North Africa into Sudan/West Africa even reached the borders of Lake Chad and Central Africa. Checkmate.
Check.
Checkmate.
Mighty Hebrew, you going in tonight, man. You're going in, the brother just said, hey, it's 2 a.m. in Tanzania. What time is it right now?
3:24 a.m.
3:24 a.m., man. Y'all got to show this brother some love, man. Listen, let's do this real quick. I'm going to give you a quick break. Let's play one of your songs real quick.
Okay, what we got? What we got?
I got you. Let's see here, my brother.
Let's hear that 9 ether beam. Let's hear that 9 ether beam.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's see here. I got. I'm gonna pull that one up. It's not done yet. Right. I'm gonna pull that one up. But I got. Let's go New Age.
Okay, let's get it.
Let's do that. Okay. We're gonna play this song real quick, and we'll be right back, y'all.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Was coming for the chosen. Y'all's people stay focused, taking over, breaking curses, Torah verses, minds open, supernova, 1/3 global. The new age was coming for the chosen. Y'all's people stay focused, taking over, breaking curses, Torah verses, mind open, supernova, 1/3 global. Shining with Jack the Russians, your mind's puzzled in instruction, deconstruction, a world becoming committee 300. Georgia, well, book is spoken, focus on Persia. The scroll of Daniel opens, Giving vision, beast image, selling in slave ships with Israelites, yoked in iron, dying daughters of Zion, crying in pits. Words 28:36, decrypting hit and reveal. Yah's wisdom, the dead live. What a feeling. Yasha Allah now risen from invading nations, ruling in hatred, parading our labor as slaves from the suit, possessed with Masonic voodoo, overseen by juju. Get it? The Jewish man fuck the Fuju. We the Hebrews from the tribe of Judah. Rest Ben Ammi, Rabbi Nu, Adonai Nu. Get Shalom the Dr. Shaliach for me. When you read me, decree 720, cipher complete. Exodus 720, incarnate stabs, giving omens, ruling like Joseph. Hyksos over the Hyksos with a death potion, scorpion horror like Horus. Frankenstein, 12 tribes like Boris. We Opticon, fight Chuck Norris. Captivity we sell over tosses. Dry bones resurrect from our lost coffins. Lazarus we walking, adapt horse and fame, calling Yahweh's name. Reclaim sovereign reign over middle terrain. Stains of black rain lay on the brain to 2/3 get wasted by Edom's cavemen. Tartarian state where freedom fighters get placed for Norman Bait, cellmate, drowning in Crystal Lake like Jason. Don't change the station, the truth face it. The earth is shaking as I'm quaking, cracking pavements. No one's safe from fate. Bones break, shaking, get baked by club of Rome's Olympian racists and rapists against ancient sages walking the word. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, blood in my veins. Ellie and DNA in my pioneer from 7 root races. A born the savior of the sacred seed of David, being raised in the last days for Jacob behind the western gate of Masonic reigns. And Satan, the Gentiles world is fading as we wake from danger to become angels. Rearrange your face, scar face, and Moshe feel the rhythm from bass. The new age, yo, is coming for the chosen. Yah's people stay focused, taking over, breaking curses, Torah verses, minds open, supernova, 1/3 global. The new age, yo, is coming for the chosen. Yah's people stay focused, taking over, breaking curses, Torah verses, mind open, supernova, 1/3 global.
They make me 38 hoes when they jacking for my beats. Man, I wanna find your trash, killer flow on your speeds. When I die 8 ball, Kisha wanna skip. Niggas still on the case, let's go back to rap. I'm out of TD, show your face, put your mask off. This is not to hair cutting, shit is not stable. Say they need me, mean the hope when they lose up. God gave me green lights and I never say stop. I'm getting close to the top, talk a chini sweaty drop. Pull up when the volley motherfuckers try to cut the rope. Hardcore, I force a job, they can't even try to cop. This is not for everybody, I never scared to be so hot. Body between my dream, we do more than taking action on my team. Shooting Lisha 86, life now, don't want limb. Still I see these niggas pay a lot of money with a foot limb. With a foot limb, woo. Stay on the case, they keep on a chase. Game of the time, never be lazy. Najenga my base, kisha na raise. Nikifika ni gold, search ku praise.
The new age, yo, is coming for the chosen. Yah's people stay focused, taking over, breaking curses, Torah verses, minds open, supernova, 1/3 global. The new age, yo, is coming for the chosen. Yah's people stay focused, taking over, breaking curses, Torah verses, mind open, supernova, 1/3 global.
I got that 9 ether beam ready for you the next time. So you just let me know when you're ready for it. I got you. All
Okay.
Right. All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Shabbat shalom to everybody, man. I appreciate y'all sticking in with us. You know, it's late over there for the mighty Hebrew, but again, man, I can't tell he tired right now because he's bringing that power tonight. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
look, listen, y'all got to give the video some thumbs up. You got to give some thumbs up. You got to share the video. Okay, Sister Noble, feel free to share it on your platform. I appreciate the love that you be showing. You know, everybody that's checking in. Shout outs to the team, TrueFlex team, Shot by High Speed. I appreciate you. Calm, thank you for checking in. Everybody that's here tonight, I appreciate you. All right, so Mighty Hebrew, I'm about to pull this right back up. So
yeah, absolutely. We should be on the next slide, which is going back to Professor Alan H. Gabi, Lost Tribes of Myth. Yup. I see the power. Yup. So you passed that. Because I read that. Keep going. So we're in Lost Tribes of Myth again. You can go to the next slide. And when you look at this slide right here, that right there, this is a picture directly from out of the book, Laws, Tribes, and Myth. Okay. It says the picture below was taken from the book, Laws, Tribes, and Myth by Dr. Alan Gabi, Duke University, page, 1930. And it says, because this was abstracted from out of the rare book that a lot of people don't know that Professor Rudolph R. Windsor wrote called Judea Trembles Under Rome. And he got this from out of the book Laws, Tribes, and Myth. And it says Judean Hebrews from Upper Senegal, West Africa. These men are the descendants of the ancient Judean nation. Their ancestors fled from Jerusalem before the arrival of the Roman armies, which were under the command of Vespasian and General Titus in 70 AD. Now, look at their image real carefully. I don't know if you can blow that up, but if you look at the image real good, look at they braids on the side of their head. Look at their facial structure. Look at their lips. Look at these is black people. Like, these is games, man, that these were drawings of when Alan H. Gabi got his sources, which they got their sources from actual European explorers that were in these areas researching and ran into Israelites in Senegal, which we also have what is known as the city of, or the kingdom of Lam was also in Senegal, right? There it is right there. That's their descendants. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. So look at this map right here, everyone. I want everybody to take notice of this map. This map comes from out of the book, Hebrewisms of West Africa. And we have here Ashanti, Ghana, and Dahomean Benin Jews. And you see circled, don't you see Beni Ephraim? Don't you see Dahomean Jews and Israelite/Jewish traces? Then we just read about that Yoruba tribe in southern Nigeria that called themselves Beni Ephraim. Oh, but they right there. Huh? Very interesting, right? Go to the next slide, because here's a better map, a very good map. Boom. Y'all see that right there. And all throughout the red is Israelite traces, all throughout West Africa, Northwest Africa, all throughout the Sahara, Central Africa, Northeastern Africa. We everywhere. And what does it say if you blow it up down there in the bottom? I'll read it. It says, Yemen Jews and Falasha, Berber, Moorish, and Negro Jews. Come on, man.
What area? What side is that on?
That's on your left side, down the far bottom. Now pull it up a little bit so you can see, because you go up. Yeah, bring it up right there.
Okay.
You see what it says? It says Yemen, right? Yemen Jews and Falashas, meaning Beta Israel or the house of Israel, Berber, Moorish, and Negro Jews. There it is right there on your bottom left. It's right there. This ain't nothing I'm making up. This is in Hebrewisms of West Africa. Yeah. I ain't making up.
Right. This is serious. This is
That's
serious business.
Right. Watch this. Go to the next. Watch this. Go to the next slide, because the map won't get even deeper. Boom. Now look, everywhere you see, right, the diamonds that you see were major stationaries of large populations of Israelite presence. Look at us. We all through. They knew. The proof is they knew who Israel was. To map all this out the way they mapped it out. They knew who Israel was.
Yeah.
How would they have all this information in the location where we at?
Right.
Go to the next slide. Boom. I even give it to you in more detail. so you can see it crystal clear. West Africa, the Israelite presence.
So it's almost as if we were targeted.
Facts. Because you got to remember the Arabs gave them, the Euro Gentiles, the information of the Israelites all throughout sub-Saharan Africa, and that we were destined to be slaves. You see? And they even wrote inside the Quran a surah known as Ben Ammi Ben Israel, where it breaks down how we broke laws talking about Yahweh's Torah and all that, and that we were destined to be slaves. So they knew exactly who we were. Go to the next slide. Look at this. Boom. So right here, we have here the three Hebrew kingdoms, Judea, Israel, and Cush, as codified in the three Magen David, as you can see, right? Displayed on the national flag of modern Burundi, an official implementation of the top agreement between King Moab Basta of Burundi and David Ben Gurion, Prime Minister of modern Israel, sometime in 1958. So they knew exactly who we were. They knew who we were. And then I got right here down the bottom, the facts presented in this manual were a central chapter in the discussions during the international peace talks of Arusha on Burundi in 1998 to 2000, held under the President Ururu and Nelson Mandela. Professor Yokana was the one who raised the issue of the Tutsi Jews during these discussions. Yet the final report never displayed these facts anywhere. Arusha resulted in the total delegitimization of the Tutsi Jews, while the ground discussions had clearly established the irrelevance of the Hutu claims over the biblical land of the Great Lakes Havilah. Such abbreviation of facts and denial of the Tutsi Israelite ancestral rights need to be repelled without delay. So this stuff is, these people, okay, these people, they're having discussions, international discussions about who owns certain lands that are Israelites, man. But y'all saying this is fake. This is insane. Go to the next slide. Let's see what they look like. Let's see what they look like. Boom. These are Israelites throughout Central Africa, West Africa. What are you talking about, man? They look like the typical African Americans that live right next door to you.
Right.
Come on, man. Go to the next slide. We got to give accolade to the late Rabbi Whitworth A. Matthews, because we closing this PowerPoint out. I gave accolade to the elders in the beginning and accolade to the end. You know how much this man has done for our people, and we just brushing all this under the rug.
Yeah.
Saying, well, basically what y'all saying don't mean nothing.
Right.
I mean, the nerve of people to say, matter of fact, I want to read something to y'all real fast. I want to go to my book, Our True History of Diaspora and Our Freedom. On page 235, I have a display of maps, pictures, and historical facts about the diaspora or the diaspora of the original Edenic Shemitic Hebrew nation of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel and the spreading of the so-called Jewish religion by the children of Edom, right? So what I want to do is I want to just read something from out of my book. I say, here above is an ancient map showing the ancient world over 6,000 plus years ago. Let me jump down. I want to read the population 6,000 years ago was inhabited by bronze or black-skinned Shemitic and Hamitic nations. In the book, it began in Babel, or it began in Babylon, New York, Delta Dell Publishing Company, 1964, page 368. Professor Herbert Wendt, a German writer, states that Asia was the cradle of the black race. This ain't what I said. This is what they say. Let's go to Dr. George G. Cameroon of the Department of Oriental Studies at the University of Chicago, who informs us in his book, History of Early Iran. Again, that's History of Early Iran. He states that the original population of this area was in fact Proto-Negroid. I didn't say that. He said that. The word proto means early, so Proto-Negroid would mean early or ancient black people. These first Shemitic and Hamitic people once extended westward from Elam or India along the shores of the Persian Gulf, all the way to the shores of the Persian Gulf. These people were the first to inhabit the Tigris and Euphrates Valley. These are facts. Okay. And also, I would like to share a few pictures. So this picture right here are Israelite captives of the Assyrian captivity from the palace of Sennacherib, approximately 680 BCE, which aligns with the second book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 13 to 14. Here they go right here. Yeah, make that big so the people can see. Now, you tell me, are these black people or are these white people? Look at their facial structure. Look at their hair. Look at their beards. Huh? Let's go even deeper. Look at these kinky-ass Israelites during the Babylonian captivity. Look, y'all. Now you tell me. You telling me that these people right here are Europeans? Let's get it closer. Look at them. Come on, man. Anything else? It's just playing games. Look at these pictures right here. I want to show the family. Look at these pictures right here. In my same book, I say, both the Tikuboko and the Songo are in present-day Angola. Here they go right here. European explorers. These are the Israelites that they drew of us. I'm gonna get some better pictures because they're real old. And look, here it is right here, so y'all can see real good. Look, boom. Look at his braids in his head. Look at her. One's a man, one's a woman. Look, these are the actual original drawings when European explorers came to take the Israelites. These are actual Israelites from West Africa. So what do they say about all that? So all that's fake too, huh? All that's fake. Let's take it a little step deeper. Let's go a little deeper. Hold on. Let me get where I want y'all to see. Hold on. Let me see. I want to show y'all something. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. No, not them. Okay. It's over here. It's coming. So what I'm showing, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to show. And as y'all can see, I got that same map from out of the book, Lost Tribes of Myth. And I showed y'all earlier. So everything I show, I got it. Okay. Also, I have a picture right here of the late Bantan Kinda goes of Ibn Lungobola of 1929, and he said that he was a descendant also of the Bene Ephraim of southern Nigeria. And here he go right here. Here's a picture of him right here. Let me see if I can get a close up of him. It's kind of dark, but that's him right there. But that's another topic. Oh yeah, these right here are Mandinkas here on the left-hand side, and they are direct blood descendants of the Hebrew Zad dynasty of Ghana, 300 CE to 1492 CE. These Hebrew Israelites from the tribe of Judah now dwell in the Senegambia hinterland, just like Dr. Ben said, and African origins of the major Western religions, page 75, 76, right? These Hebrew Israelites from the tribe of Judah now dwell in the Senegambia hinterland. In the center is a Hebrew chief with his family in Accra, Ghana, West Africa, wearing a robe with Hebrew charms in it. Here it is right here. Let me, so y'all can see it. Blow that up if you can. Yup, there it is right there. Bang. See, we ain't gotta lie. We ain't gotta lie. Because it's all right there. Let's look at the Israelites of the Angola. Here's a picture of the original Hebrew Israelites of Portugal after the fall of the Hebrew Islamic Moorish Empire, 5th century CE to the 15th century CE of Spain and Portugal. These Hebrew Israelites were exiled to a Portuguese colony called the island of San Tomé, which is right off the west coast of Africa. The Portuguese took control of this island in 1471. King John II of Portugal in 1484, you know what I mean, was telling our ancestors to be baptized or they, get exiled. But look at us. Boom. That's the Israelites at the same time. These were the Israelites that were exiled in Portugal. What are you talking about? Man, these guys playing, man. These guys is playing. They playing a vicious game, brother. They playing a vicious game. So, let me see if I want to show y'all anything else. Oh, I ain't even getting it. We ain't even getting to the Israelites of India. Look at the Israelites of India. I ain't even get there yet. That's a whole nother topic on its own. Matter of fact, here's a good picture of the Israelites right here. Also, if one watched the movie 300, they will see that Xerxes, king of Media Persia, used Hebrew Israelite servants to give messages to the Spartans. All of the messengers were Black because the director of 300 knew the Israelite history of our ancestors being under Media Persia captivity. These Hebrew Israelites on the left-hand side were Israelite Hazara troops under the Mongolian Empire of Genghis Khan in 1231 CE. Look at our ancestors with their beards, garments, and turbans on. Look, y'all. Checkmate. You see it, Mikael? You see that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Beautiful. You see it?
Yep. That's undisputable, undeniable.
Come on, man.
Facts.
Man, and it goes on and on and on and on, and I can continue to go on and on. But they want us to believe that these are the people. This is what they want us to believe, that these cave dwellers are the people. That's who they want us to believe, that these cave dwellers are our people, when they not. When they're not. Go to the next slide, the last two slides, my Lord. So I just wanted to show y'all that. Go to the last two slides. Now, I have here a scroll on purpose, right? Of the Torah. And the reason why I put that up there, right, is because the scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15, tell us that you need 2 to 3 to bear witness. So what did I do tonight? I used people like Dr. John Henry Clark, Professor Yosef Bezo-Kanayan, Sheikh Anta Diop, Professor George Cameroon, Professor Herbert Wynn, right? I use all these different scholars, man. Ben Ammi, Shar Ben Yahoo. I use all these different scholars to prove our presence, right? And when you go to the next slide, what does it say? It says, one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, and any sin that he sinneth at the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. Did I not establish this matter? Did I not, let's be honest, did I not establish this matter that there were migrational patterns, right? There were. Let's go to a couple more. Let's not just stop there. Let me give you a couple more. Just a couple more migrational patterns that add on to that. Because he says, let's go to the Valley of Dry Bones by Rudolph R. Windsor, page 62. King John II of Portugal deported many of his Judeans to West Africa or Angola. And I just showed the picture of the Angolan Israelites, right? Let's go to 100 Amazing Facts on the African Presence in the Bible, page 2, by Wilston D. Rate Publishing Communicators Press Project. It says the African Edenic tribe of Judah, largest of all in the house of Israel, was the last to be dispersed from the Holy Land in 70 AD. Judah wandered in Africa for over 1,000 years before most settled on the west coast of Africa, the point from which the great slave trade to the Americas began. The land of the Ashanti in West Africa is one of the most important ancestral homes of the majority of African Americans, right? Okay, let's go to the Africans, a triple heritage, on page 300 by Ali Manzouri. He says another major African group whose origins have been traced to the other side of the Red Sea are the Yoruba, now mainly concentrated in Nigeria and Benin. One legend has it that the Yoruba are remnants of the children of Canaan, who were of the tribe of Nimrod. This is what they say. Let's go to Walking with the Night, the Afro-Cuban world of Santeria. On page 2, we got Yoruba scholars have advanced diverse ideas as to the origin of the Yorubas, some even suggesting a relationship to Middle Eastern countries. The staff of Omremyan, a monolith said to be 1,000 years old, that is the symbol of the Yoruba, has the Hebrew letter Yod carved in its pinnacle. Come on, man. Come on, let's go to Religions of Africa, Traditions and Transformation, page 50 by Etam and Lawson. Many contemporary Yoruba have spent a great deal of time dealing with the question of their origin. Some have gone so far as to postulate a relationship with Middle Eastern countries. Come on, man. Come on, y'all can't just say we making this stuff up. Let's go to Ellis Jones, Black Hebrews, The Quest for Authentic Identity and the Journey of Religious Thought, volume 44, number 2, page 46 and 47, which reads, Ethiopian Hebrews point out that Black Hebrews themselves included were in Africa 1,500 years before Islam, and that wherever the Arabs traveled in Africa, they found Hebrews, according to their sources, right? The Kanumri Hebrews were located in Central Africa along trails hundreds of miles north, south, east, and west of Senegal, from where they had apparently migrated. Others came to Sudan from the north and converged with those who were headed for the countries along the Niger River. there were settlements on the West Coast as well as in the interior Africa and communities reaching from Morocco to Angola. They gave a number of tens of thousands of black Hebrews who were in the group known as the B'nai Musa, or the sons of Moses. They also point out that in 1484, under the reign of King John II of Portugal, hundreds of black Hebrews were deported to the island of Sam off the west coast of Africa. Come on, man.
That's hard. Wow.
Come on, man. Come on, let's go. Let's get them niggas straight up just like that. The story of the Moors in Spain, page 2, by Stanley Lane Pooh. He says, Muhammad, the Arabian prophet, began to preach the religion of Islam in the beginning of the 7th century. He took the old faith of the Hebrews, which had its disciples in Arabia. Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's go into the Israeli Hebrew language daily newspaper called the Mari, November 7th, 1993, which says, this is an Israeli newspaper. Members of the tribe called Eber Jokiki or Kokiki lived in Somalia and Ethiopia. They have named themselves the Hebrew children of Israel. According to the members of the tribe, they have been on the continent since the 10th century. Let's go to UNESCO. Let's go to the United Nations. Let's go to the United Nations. I challenge you. Let's go to UNESCO, General History of Africa, Volume 2, Ancient Civilizations of Africa, Abridged Edition, page 231, 232. It has long been known that groups of people of Shemitic origin crossed the Red Sea and settled in northern Ethiopia. Other groups of Hebraic religion have been, this is what the United Nations is saying. Other groups of Hebraic religion have been living in this same region of South Arabia for a long time, perhaps since the destruction of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar in 587 and its occupation by the Lagidi. But their members increased greatly after the third destruction of Jerusalem by Emperor Titus in 70 AD, when Jews persecuted by the Romans received a welcome from their compatriots and settled in South Arabia. Man, that was from UNESCO, man. Let's go to the Jerusalem Post. Let's go to another Israeli newspaper out of Africa, April 29th, 1988. Today, there are still millions of African Jews in many tribes in Kenya, Zaire, Zambia, and the Congo. There are people who are circumcised on the 8th day, respect the Sabbath, and have a tradition of using Sukkot for a week. My father taught me the Torah, and he was taught it by his father, who was taught it by his father, and on and on. Checkmate. Come on, man. I'm going straight to what they say, what their scholars say. This ain't nothing that I'm making up. This is something that they're saying out their mouths.
Receipts.
Facts. Let's go. Let's go back. Let's go to another Israeli newspaper. September 16, 1991. The Mari. It reads, no other Zimbabweans blow the shofar except Zechariah, who is of the lost tribe of Israel. Tens and thousands of black Jews were discovered there recently. They are called Lamba, and according to their tradition, they are the descendants of Abraham, Moses, and Solomon. Oh, let's go to Herman Norton. I mean, I'm a source they ass up. Let's go to Herman Norton, White and Black in East Africa, page 248, which reads, speaking of Uganda to the west of Lake Victoria and northeast of the Virgin Congo, it has an organized native government with a tradition of 33 kings and a legendary line tracing back to King David. Let's go to Elder Moses Farrar and Ella J. Hughley's book, A Better Understanding and the Truth About Black Biblical Hebrew Israelites, page 55, 56. there are well over 150,000 Israelites throughout the length and breadth of Africa, maybe more. Right now, 40,000 living in Ethiopia, northeastern Africa, along on Africa's west coast. There are Israelites in Dahomey, in Timbuktu, Ghana, Nigeria, Guinea. In South Africa, there are Black Israelite congregations in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Transvaal, Zululand, and many other areas in the Republic of South Africa. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Ooh. Man, somebody put some fire and some bombs in the chat, man. Y'all show Mighty Hebrew some love, man. That's when it's time to source up, Mighty. I'm telling you, man. You just, I don't know, what was that, about 30? Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I got 784 sources left.
Okay. We got content for all 2023, y'all.
Yeah, man. So we gonna just keep bringing it. We just gonna keep bringing it. I see Zadoki on. You know what I'm saying? I love doing this for the people. You know, I have two more quotations I want to give. Let me grab it. Okay. Yeah. Since we was in the book, The Lost Tribes of Myth, I want to go to page 246. I got the book right here by Alan H. Gabi. This is what he say at the end. This is what he say. These facts have a peculiar significance when the presence of Hebrewism among American Negroes is to be considered. Hundreds of thousands of slaves were brought to America from this Western Africa during the days of the traffic, beginning nearly 400 years ago. How much more of Hebrewism survived among West African Negroes in that earlier time? As persecuted communities, they were rather more in danger than other Negroes of being raided by war parties and sold as slaves. It may be considered certain that many partially Judicide Negroes were among the slaves brought to America. How many of them might still hold some Jewish or Israelite customs in their new home is another question. In the book, The African Edenic Heritage by Shar Ben Yehuda, he says, forbidden to read, write, teach, or preach, the African slave relied on songs to communicate and keep alive a remembrance of their past. Are African American spirituals the result of missionary influence and identification with the biblical story, or part of a deeply entrenched collective cultural consciousness? Why did the songs focus on locations in Israel, the Jordan River, Jericho, Canaan's land, as opposed to West African sites, the Niger River, Songhai, Timbuktu? The following reference should shed some light. So let's go to the book, Black Song, The Forge and the Flame by John Lavelle Jr., page 31 to 32. If the American white man fancies that he was the first to teach the Bible to his black slave, he is quite mistaken. Mungo Park, as affirmed by Marlon L. Stokely, found that Funtuma, the Catholic schoolmaster, had Arabic versions of the Pentateuch. Why? Because Arabic at that time, from the 5th century ACE to the 15th century ACE, during the Dark Ages, was the language of diplomacy at that time. Let's continue on. The Psalm of David in the book of Isaiah. The unlearned Mandinkas entertained him with stories of Joseph and his brethren, Moses, David, and Solomon. They gave out the stories as part of their own folklore and were very much surprised to learn that white men had heard them. If many slaves already knew a great deal of the Bible, the whole pattern of the origin and development of the backgrounds of the spiritual in America will have to be reconsidered.
Reconsider, huh?
Let's go into the book by LaRon Bennett Jr., Before the Mayflower. I know y'all heard this book before.
Right.
Before the Mayflower, A History of Black America, page 80. Let's see what Dr. Bennett Jr. says. The religion taught the slaves, listen, the religion taught The slaves was a censored plebeian, which dwell almost always on the duties of obedience. Few slaves accepted this version of Christianity. Their God was the God who delivered the Israelites.
Mm. Wow.
Come on, man.
That's heavy. What page is that on?
Page 80, Before the Mayflower.
Before the
A History of Black America by Lerone Bennett Jr. I ain't say it. Huh? He said it. Man, I want to hear what some of my Jah Rastafari say. Let's hear what the Rastafarians got to say.
Okay.
Let's go to Leonard E. Burritt Sr., The Rastafarians, Sound of Cultural Dissonance, page 16 and 17. Under the British, thousands of West African slaves were brought to Jamaica. The West Africans brought to the island were mostly from the Gold Coast and Nigeria. The British planters insisted on these people above all others because of their strongness. It was the Ashanti, however, that left the greatest cultural imprint on Jamaica, noticeably to this day. The mission, the life, reign, and character of Haile Selassie, page 18, Haynes Lottie. Rastafarians are not fantasizers who consciously reinterpret their subconscious West African cultural religious ascendants within an Ethiopian religio-cultural reality. The historical links evident from the conjunctures and data cited above on West Africa's link with dynastic Egypt, Ethiopia, ancient Israel, place the Rastafarian spiritual and secular views within the ancient cultural religious complex. Conceptually, Ashanti and the rest of West Africa represent in the Western Hemisphere archaic but functional religio-cultural patterns deriving from the Old Testament.
Man, deep within every culture.
I don't know what else they want to say.
But the sad part is we got people still trying to prove who they are.
Right.
And you just laid it out on the table for them.
Laid it right out there for them. I'm gonna give y'all one more source, and that's it.
Spread the cause. Go ahead. Lay it out.
Give a shout out to Dr. Ben Zedek. This source right here I'm about to give, he's going to love this source. Watch this. Let's go to Santeria, African Magic in Latin America, page 41 by Gonzalez. It is a tradition amongst the Santerios to speak to the gods in the Yoruba language. The custom is derived from the belief that words are sources of energy and that the energy accumulates with the repetitive use of certain phrases. In the Israelite doctrine, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet have great symbolical significance. The most powerful combinations of Hebrew letters are those that make up the names of Yahweh and the angelic forces. The spiritual and magical power of these words is believed to be so great that the vocalizing of them can set in motion gigantic vibrationary impulses throughout the entire universe, creating vast changes in the structure of the order of things. Thus, from ancient times to the present, words are power. This is also evident in Santeria. So I mean, I don't know what else to say. But hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I think for the most part, for everybody that's still here, they get it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's here, they get it. You feel me? And if they don't get it, they searching to get it. You know what I mean? Right now, with everything that's going on, with especially the presence that IUIC just made, I think that really hit home for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And they searching, they're looking for, where can they get that truth from? And I'm glad that everybody that's here is here to get this information, because this is powerful, my brother. All the sources that you just gave, I think that's enough work for the next 5 years, I would say, maybe 10 years. You know what I'm saying? To actually read that and to digest the information, because you've been doing this for over 30 plus years. You ain't new to this. You see what I'm saying? You ain't just coming to this, wherein a lot of people such as myself, I'm new to this for like the past 5, maybe 6 years. So but I can tell that a lot of individuals that are coming into this new belief, they get very emotional, and so I think we need to be that outlet where they can come and get the information and understand how we conduct ourselves amongst one another. Because if they go to some of these other channels, they get the wrong idea of what a real Israelite is. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely. And it's not about all the little dressing, although, scripture does define how we supposed to conduct ourselves. But most importantly, and I think what people need to do is go to your website. I'm going to put the website here so people can go there and understand more about Torah Constitution and what our nation is supposed to be. Because we're supposed to be in a collective form, you know what I'm saying? Not all spread out. We've been spread out for thousands of years. It's time to come together, because as long as we're still heading down that path, that the one that we're already on, we're never going to get to where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? So we got to come together collectively, just how we just seen IUIC. We got to put down our differences, just like you said earlier about our doctrinal differences. We have a common goal that we're trying to get to, and that's to the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? And if we can't conduct ourselves here, how in that fashion, how can we do it when we get to the kingdom? We ain't ready. You see what I'm saying? We ain't ready. It takes a level of discipline, man, and we ain't disciplined enough. You see what I'm saying? Because we so busy, caught up in all the social media. We caught up in what's going on. We trying to keep up with with the Joneses still. You see what I'm saying? And they dragging us. You feel me? They dragging us out here, man, and it's all an illusion. Half the world just died from illusions. You know what I'm saying? From the media, the people telling you what you need to do, how you need to do it. They were over here doing something else, preparing you for the next stage. See, they stay 5, 6 steps ahead of us, because they've been studying us since they brought us over here. They were studying us before they even came and got us. You just pointed that out. They knew where we was already at.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They already knew where we were at. Come on, man. We ain't smarter than them. They got the technology. They got planes and ships going out into the, to the out wherever they're going.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? And here we are. We're still on the surface researching our history. They talking about the future. They got different currencies coming out, and we still trying to find out who we are and where we come from. You see what I'm saying here? So we got to get on the right page here, my brother. We got to come together, man. That's what they really fear. They fear us coming together.
Facts.
That's the problem. But guess what? They can't stop the Most High Yah. They can't stop this. They can take us out. They can remove 1 or 2 of us, but at the end of the day, the hand of Yah. Come on, man. Right. Don't even play no games, man.
You see they try to do that. They try to do that with my Facebook, but it still ain't stopped.
They tried you. They tried Zion. I mean, anybody that's out here trying to spread truth, come on, man. They scared of the truth. But guess what? They're gonna set y'all free. You might as well go ahead and face it now. Because when you're trying to pay the piper, man, that fire gonna be hot.
Hallelujah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So listen, I know it's late, my brother. Let's do this. Let's close out with one of your tracks. You know, 9 Eat the Bean. Let's get into that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then for those who want to stay, I'm gonna go back. I still got some more of you know, the late Ben Ammi. You know what I'm saying? We can go back where he, because man, it's powerful.
No.
Y'all better stay for that one.
Right. He ain't to be played with. Ben Ammi ain't to be played with at all.
At all. So let's get into that again. Shabbat Shalom. I appreciate you, my brother, because I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna let you go. But when I first heard you speaking, I knew you were somebody that was for real about what you were doing.
Okay. Hallelujah.
You have a different energy about yourself, my brother, that says, look, I'm about business. Don't play no games with me in this Torah. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I'm at right now. I gotta move all that negative energy out the way. You know what I'm saying? Because we about to 9 Eat the Bean. You know what I'm saying? That's what we about to do. Let's do that real quick. And hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I be the 9, eat the bean of the 40, the 40, I'm a Elohim. I be the 9, eat the bean of the 40, the 40, I'm a G.O.D. It's the Elohim, Ben Ammi Ben Israel. Universal thought, rock at 9, eat the bean. Who be the one, rock the spot non-stop? I, scientific God, the human juggernaut. 11 trillion, 40 billion infinite children, time travel down tree of lives, etheric molecules that were cute like Rubik's 6-point born Judah, macabre light be dark blue, Manu Vishnu, Ha'adam from Azulik, pure will form existence, thought the distance, peep wisdom we building, less than zero, our enemies feel pain, goodbye hero. Black rain descent to Tamana through earth chain. Elohim reign and Lord to reign. Feel the essence of Shem's fame. We be noble Aryans next to our names like Juali, Ben Ammi, Harabi. Vision I see be me beyond 3D. Eyes above hills, a shadow to become. Hayah, Daniel, son, root to Yahweh, Kakma, golden one focus, unfold omen. I be the 9, eat the bean of the 40, the 40, I'm a Elohim. I be the 9, eat the bean of the 40, the 40, I'm a G.O.D. It's the Elohim, Ben Ammi Ben Israel. Universal thought, rock at 9, eat the bean. Who be the one, rock the spot non-stop? I, scientific God, the human juggernaut. Torah reigns supreme, Azulitic world, born imagery from the all I see. The breath implodes within the cosmic stomach. That's panoramic. 613 commandments got Ha'adam, Kakma standing. Chanting, making war cloud sounds of cosmic format atoms to shatter the sound. Barrier the patterns, explode the matter. Born Saturn, Trend and Venus chain. Israel reign with lightning and thunder. We plunder from Babylon to North Philly jungle. Small wonder crumble in the west. Now humble from Yah's judgment. The vultures of others now coming clashing in the multiverses as poetic verses and full mental. It's never destroyed. The art of noise, basement music, diffuse fusion. We illuminate truth through the tribe of Judah. I be the 9, eat the bean of the 40, the 40, I'm a Elohim. I be the 9, eat the bean of the 40, the 40, I'm a G.O.D. It's the Elohim, Ben Ammi Ben Israel. Universal thought, rock at 9, eat the bean. Who be the one, rock the spot non-stop? I, scientific God, the human juggernaut.
Mighty Hebrew, Prince Shar and Diin, 9 Ether Bean. Coming live right here on True Face Network, the way of Yah. Shabbat shalom to everybody in the building. Alright, so listen, Mighty Hebrew, if you could, man, close us out and take us into the next last half of Ben Ammi's message. Thank you.
Absolutely. Give a shout out to True Flex Network, Lord Mikael. Anybody that want to donate to the cause here that we have, the Mighty Hebrew Israelite Sovereign Nationalistic Repatriation Movement, you can $ Princess Etana is already up there. Everybody know that we not on no scam and nothing. Everything is accounted for. We use the money to keep us functioning over here in Africa. We love our people. We over here building. As we were reading the scripture, we like spying out the land, so to say. And anytime anybody ready to come, y'all can contact me, get through Lord Mikael, or email me at mightyhebrew4@gmail.com. Again, that's mightyhebrew4@gmail.com. Also, if anybody want to enroll in the Mighty Hebrew University, you can log into tmhu.org. Again, that's tmhu.org. It was an honor and a privilege and an adventure to be here. We're going back into the late Adonenu Rabbeinu's lecture, History and Destiny. Sit back, because when the fathers speak, because we affectionately in the kingdom call him the Father, Abba. You know what I'm saying? When he speak, when Ben Ammi speak, only thing you can do is just sit there and just listen. He didn't have to. The thing about Ben Ammi is, if you notice, them elders like Prince Asiel, Ben Ammi, you never seen them all on social media just arguing and debating and all. They showed improved by the things that they did. So I just want to give a shout out to my mentor, Ben Ammi, my mentor, Prince Asiel, my mentor, the late Prince Dr. Shaliat. May all three of them men rest in completeness. Hallelujah. Thank you for your time. Hebrew Israelite Sovereign Nationalism has risen worldwide. Shalom Aleichem. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Ezekiel, read.
Reading from the book of Ezekiel, 19th chapter, we'll start at the 4th verse. The nations also heard of him.
The nations also heard of him.
He was taken in their pit.
He was taken in what?
In their pit.
He was taken in their pits. Did somebody say that we were in the pits on those ships? And he was taken in their pits.
And they brought him with chains unto the land of Egypt.
Wait, if somebody said did somebody say we came in chains? Says, and that we were in pits, and says, and he brought them in chains, shackles. These are the people of God. Did you arrive here in chains? Your forefathers arrived here in chains and shackles, on ships, in pits. Now, the people of God back into Egypt again. This Egypt, the ancient Egypt, you walked down and you didn't have chains on you when you went into captivity in ancient Egypt. This is to distinguish between the Egypts. America is modern Egypt, modern Babylon, Egypt, the land of the captivity of the people of God. Now, you're in the pits, in chains, 8 and 9.
Then the nations set against him on every side from the provinces.
Then the nations set against the people of God on every side. A conspiracy by those that were referred to as the New World Order.
And spread their net over him.
We forgot that one, but did they throw nets over some of them? Did they catch them and throw nets over them? Nets. And they spread their nets over them.
he was taken in their pit.
He was taken in their pits.
And they put him in a cage.
And they put him in what?
In a cage.
Somewhere with limited movement. And they put him in the pits. And they put him in a cage. He was a captive. Birds that are captive are put in cages to limit their movement, to blow their minds, to make them no longer understand that they are birds. When you arrived on these shores, after they treated you like an animal, you forgot that you were a human being. You are still trying to prove to somebody, I am somebody. Who are you talking to? 400 years and you got to convince somebody that you are somebody. Excuse me, you got to convince nobody that you are somebody. You can put an animal in a cage, limit his movement, take him out of his natural habitat, and you make him forget who he is, what he is. And then at a point, you can open the cage. Won't go nowhere. Don't know what to do. And when they finally had what they called the Emancipation Proclamation, then they told you you were free, and many of them didn't even want to be free. You know what to do. Just like now, Brother Coy Pugh said, you are scared to be free. You're not free. You are afraid of freedom. You're afraid. You're scared. You've been caged up for so long. He don't have to worry about you. You're scared of freedom. And he took him, nets over him, put him into cages, areas of limited movement, give you the impression that you were animals. That's why in the Taney decision, they said you were what? 3/5. 3/5 of a person. You had been caged up so long until even they looked out and they said 3/5 of a person, because they had been treating you like animals for so long. You're scared. You're scared to let it go. It's killing you and you won't let it go. Continue on, please.
And they put him in a cage, in chains.
In chains.
And brought him to the king of Babylon.
And brought him to the king of Babylon. Babylon, Egypt, metaphorically all the same thing. The great whore. This was not the land of your prosperity. This is the land of your captivity. This is your history. Now the next logical question now. If I took this out of the Bible and I would read these things to you from a book, some other book, you would, if I just read it and asked you, you would say that's whose history? You would say that if I took it out of the Bible and read it to you from some other book, you would say, beyond the shadow of a doubt, you would say that is your history. But what if I leave it in the Bible? Say it again. Still our history. Leave it in the Bible. The United Nations use the Bible. The Bible holds the key, because the next logical question, if God sent us into this captivity, why? That becomes the key question. Why? What did we do to deserve this? Now we find that Howard said, you got to stop now, look back. What did we do? What is it that happened that determined this evil destiny that we've met on the shores of America? What happened in our history? Now you understand why they cannot allow you to get back and understand the significance of your history, because your history is your destiny. And if you're going to change your destiny, you must change and stop and turn around and start to make some event that will give you a new history, that will determine a new destiny. One of my most sacred examples and illustrations that I use. Always seem to find somebody's always security usually, but use one of the sons of his stand right here. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve fell. Fell where? Just down on their knees. What took place in the Garden of Eden? When I was a child, my mother used to always say, she said, boy, keep on going. Just keep on going down the road. Things are going to get better a little bit further down the road. My mother didn't know. Blessed be her soul. But mama, things can't get better going down the wrong road. She didn't know. She told me the best that she could, but she did not know. Things can't get better going down the wrong road. So what took place in the Garden of Eden? Adam and Eve were created to face God with continuous, eternal, regenerative, onward and upward motion. Continuously in a regenerative cycle, everything renewing itself eternally, eternal life, because everything would renew itself. But what took place? They fell. Simply this. They came under a new influence. They turned their backs upon God. Now, he may not have moved a long distance, but he has traversed. When he turned his back on God, he has traversed the ultimate distance. The ultimate distance. Now, you tell me, when are things going to get better going that way? It is impossible for things to get better going that way. He must meet what? That destiny. He must meet an evil destiny continuously. No argument about it, no controversy. He must meet an eternal evil destiny. Why? Because his history determined. So he move on a little bit. Keep meeting an evil destiny. Because remember, predetermined. Predetermined. And he move a little bit further. Predetermined. Predetermined. Now the only way, because his past is determining his future, the only way he can disconnect himself from his past is what? Got to turn around and then begin a new history. Then his new history begins at this new birth. Born again, a new beginning, and then this is going to cause him to meet another destiny. Are you hearing me? Going to meet a new destiny. Now, the devil studies you. Study the Bible. Study your history. He knows who you are. If he didn't know who no other people are, he could not afford not to know who you are. Because where you concerned, he can't afford a mistake. He had to know who you were. So then, if that be the case, then he knows how to control your destiny. He keeps you walking. If you're walking this way, then the devil, his objective is to do what? Keep telling you like mama told me. Well, just keep on another few years. Why? Because you are walking in that direction. His objective is to keep you what? Walking in that direction. What make you stop and turn around? You have to change your destiny. It has been tied into your history. Predetermined, historically determined course of events. On that path, historically determined what's going to meet him, you can tell before it happens. Now, are you following? Joel, the 3rd chapter, verses 2 and 3. Bear with me. Too much is at stake. Everything is on the line. And I feel like the state representative. Enough is enough. And this can't be the last chapter, Queen Mother. And we're starting to write a new chapter. And we ain't gonna let them write the last chapter. We're not going out as crackheads and cocaine heads in jail. We're not going out like that. I know. New history. Turn around. Stop. Turn around. Joel, the 3rd chapter. Read, please.
Reading from the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, starting at the 2nd verse. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
The valley of judgment. The Creator said he will gather all nations. And what is he going to plead there in the valley of judgment? What is this judgment going to be about? Read.
And will judge them there for my people.
And will judge them there for what?
For my people.
My people. God's people are going to be involved in the determination of when the judgment day is. Continue on.
And for my heritage.
And for my heritage.
Israel. Whom they have scattered among the nations.
Whom have been scattered among the nations. What else?
And parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people.
They have what?
And they have cast lots for my people.
And they have cast lots for my people. That's just like pitching pennies for human beings. And they have cast lots for my people. No value on your lives. Somebody give you 5 pennies and them 5 pennies say, whoever gets the closest, take him. No value on your lives. Cast lots for my people.
And have given a boy for an harlot.
Trade a boy for an harlot. Just a trade. This is the history of a people. The people of God. Trade a boy for a harlot. Well, you got a young son here. I need a young daughter. Here, you take him and give me her. This is exactly how, this is your history.
And sold a girl for wine.
And sold a girl for wine.
That they may drink.
That they may drink. Take a life. This little daughter here. Take this daughter and he want him a keg of wine. And he take this soul and say, here, give me a keg of wine. Show you the value, no value on your lives. This is your history. You bear witness that this happened to you. It happened to you. They traded you for jewelry. They traded you for wine. They traded you for rum. No value on your lives. The people of God. Question? Why? How do we correct this? How do we change this? Now that we're back in the Bible, now that we see it, we're being connected up with our history, then it should be relatively easy for you to understand that a significant number of those brought over on slave ships were descendants of the biblical Israelites. The great majority of you sitting here, you are the descendants of the biblical Israelites. You are Israelites, Hebrew Israelites. You sitting right here are the chosen people of God that turned aside from the Creator. Your destiny and the destiny of this civilization depends upon you. The rise of Jacob. This civilization cannot end until Jacob rises. The objective of this civilization is to prevent Jacob from rising. They prolong their dominion by keeping you in darkness. They're not interested in you becoming free. Your captivity is their benefit. Your curse is their blessing. Your demise was their rise. Not interested in freeing you. The objective of this civilization is to keep you a captive, keep you walking contrary to God. Why? Why did it happen? Let me take a couple of references here. Hosea 4 and 6. Hosea 4 and 6. Read, please.
Reading from the 4th chapter, the book of Hosea, 6th verse, and it reads, my people are destroyed.
That's a very personal statement. The first word, the Creator says, whose people?
My people.
That's very personal. My people are being destroyed,
for a lack of knowledge.
Knowledge. The people of God are being destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. Knowledge about themselves. Knowledge about the Creator. Knowledge about that economic development. Knowledge about this social system. You're being destroyed because you really don't know America. If you knew America, you would not expect to be free in America. You are still here because you don't know America. The state representative has said he now knows America. There will never be freedom for the captives in America. And you continue on this path because of a lack of knowledge. You look up now and you find one of your chief leaders, that saying, I put down the gun and I picked up the Bible. I put down the gun and I picked up the Bible. Now they're watching you because you are the sign. You are the sign that determines when their season has ended. It is all connected to you. But can anything good come out of Nazareth? You just really can't see yourselves as being that significant. Again, you scared. I see why. You trying to convince yourself that you somebody. That you keep going around trying to convince yourself that you are somebody. Because you're scared for somebody to put this kind of responsibility upon you. You're scared. You're scared to be disciplined. You're scared to shop in your stores. You're scared to stay in your hotels because you don't think it'll look right to the system if you start doing things for yourself. You got to change, brothers and sisters. No way to circumvent it. Either you're going to change or you're going to perish. You got to stop and get on that train that Howard talked about. Get on that train now. Get on the other end and start heading back. And you got to go back now. And on the path back, you're going to meet many of those you passed going the wrong way. They're not going to want you to get back. They're going to try to prevent you from getting back. But you, against all odds, you've got to get back and be reconciled with the Creator. It holds the key. Let us go now. Lack of knowledge. Jeremiah 4:22 and 23. Jeremiah 4:22 and 23. Got a few more moments. Be patient for about 10 more minutes. I think we'll be able to close out. But you got to understand that. Because if you understand that, you become fishermen. You become hunters. You know how to go out and to get our people out of this mess that they're in. These are the keys. The brother said, to you I give the keys to the new world, to the kingdom. You've got to hear these things and understand it. There are some things that you must do. Somebody has convinced you that you can walk contrary to the laws of God and be saved. There's no way that you can walk contrary to the laws of God and be saved. It was walking contrary to the laws of God that got us in this mess. Now somebody is trying to convince you to continue to walk contrary to God, to the commandments of God, and get out of it. And that's what got us into it. You've got to turn back. Read, please.
Reading from the 4th chapter of the book of Jeremiah, starting at the 22nd verse. And it reads, for my people are foolish.
God, again, that's very personal. His people, he said, are foolish. Foolish. What does that mean? Doing foolish things. Foolish expectations. 400 years and no justice. Foolish. The people of God, my people, are foolish. Continue on.
They have not known me.
What is the problem?
They have not known me.
You see your history. You have not known your God. You got all the gods that they've given you. But your God, your history will connect you up with your land. your culture, your language, but most of all, your history will connect you up with your God. That's the key. Your history will connect you up with your God. You hear us saying the God of Israel, the God of our fathers, a God, a special God that created you, the God that sent you on those ships, the God that sold you. Only He can purchase you and redeem you.